Quick disclaimer before we start. Of course, literally the day after I finish recording the entire script of this video, I start seeing all of these videos drop about, hey, I played 3 hours of A Shadow of the Erd Tree, and here's all the things I saw. Of course, I would have to throw away my theory. I'm like, okay, there goes my video for the next 6 months. But no, I actually think my theory can still work. And I'll explain it to you. Don't worry. I think for the main reason being that they only saw 3 hours and they kind of just got thrown into it. Didn't see a lot of information that would disprove my theory. I still think it's very, very possible, and that maybe they're just being led to believe certain things. So anyways, let's just continue assuming that maybe there's missing details and that the information that I provide in this video might still apply. Okay, so I got to get this out quick before the DLC drops, and that's just coming out in a few days, so I just want to have the receipts ready for when I'm eventually proven right, or very wrong. The footage you're seeing is just some random B-roll that might have some backing info on it, but it's nowhere near on par with Vati. I'm not trying to anyway. I don't have a paid editor, and I don't have time for what is essentially just a very quick theory video, so let's get right into it. This is not the body of Miquella. This is the body of Mesmer. I believe this for multiple reasons. Number one, the proportions. We've always known that Miquella is supposed to be trapped in youth. So why then is this body so freakishly long and, according to some people who can clip through the cocoon, see that it's an older person? I mean, judging by the hand alone, the character in question is actually larger than we are. A lot like a certain character we're supposed to face in the DLC. And judging by this footage, we can see that Mesmer is canonically larger than the player character. The same cannot be said about Miquella, who, in several different artworks, is shown to be rather small and, in fact, actually around the same size as the player character. Just like a certain someone. That actually leads right into my second point. Number two, I came across a video recently by Tim Diggity that provides some very compelling arguments that Miquella is actually Melina. This lines up with the fact that Melina could be a female alter ego referred to as Saint Trina. Not only that, but Melina was writing Torrent, and we know that Torrent's former master was literally Miquella. We also know that Melina describes being born in the Erd Tree, and it's implied that Melina is daughter to Marika. Tim Diggity also didn't mention this, if I remember correctly, but it should be noted that Melina says that she will play the role as maiden, not that she, or rather he, was a maiden to begin with. So I think that this character in the cocoon is not going to be Mesmer just for size alone, but also because, well, Miquella is still with us in the form of Melina. Number 3. In the DLC trailer, an NPC asks the player character, I presume you are keen to know just what kind Miquella is doing here, which is a strange thing to ask if Miquella is dead in the cocoon. Miquella is alive and well, just as we just clarified, and is actively doing something in the Shadowlands. If this body was supposed to be Miquella, then that would be strange, obviously. However, there is a counterpoint. Miquella divested his body, so maybe that's just his body in the cocoon, right? Well, if we are to assume that Melina is Miquella, then that would mean that we are interacting with his spirit in the form of Saint Trina, or Melina. I mean, it's possible, since Melina is all too keen on disappearing after visiting us just like a spirit would. But if Miquella can do that, then why can't Mesmer? See, the issue I have with this counterpoint is that the same of Miquella can be said of Mesmer. It does not eliminate the possibility of Mesmer being the one in the cocoon, and his spirit is actually waiting for us in the Shadowlands as well. In fact, remember that Mesmer, if he is in fact a sibling to Miquella and Melina, means he is an Empyrean, and would be just as powerful as Miquella and could become a god in his own right. It's also possible that Miquella chose the name Melina because it sounds so similar to Melina, like his sister. Number 4. Miquella was trying to revive his ally. If we investigate the Church of the Eclipse, we see that there are followers of Miquella lamenting. They state that they were not able to restore the soul to the soulless, an ally of Miquella. There is only one character that we know of that has no soul, Godwyn the Golden. However, this is where I disagree with most channels like Rusty that believe Godwyn will play a big part in the DLC. As much as I would hate to admit it, I doubt they're going to have very much in store for us regarding the Prince of Death, since so much of the base game already covers it. There's already multiple boss fights, multiple NPC quest lines regarding death, and several spells despite death sorceries being pretty limited. I really like the idea of Godwyn the Golden, and I wish we can see how he was before the Night of the Black Knives, but I have my doubts. To get back on track, it is never stated that Godwyn is the only one with a soulless body. In fact, there is explicit information found in the Eclipse Crest Great Shield description that states Godwyn is actually just one of several soulless demigods. In fact, there are more theories about how the Wandering Mausoleums were created by Miquella to house the bodies of demigods to prevent them from being infected with death blight, just like Godwyn was. That's where Messmer comes in. My guess is that Messmer didn't die in the Night of Black Knives, but rather his soul was imprisoned by Marika. He does seem to really like fire and snakes, two things that are linked to blasphemy against the Erd Tree. It is also likely that Messmer would be the best candidate to usurp her and take her throne. This makes him a threat to her rule. There's a reason why Messmer is almost irritated when talking about Marika in the trailer, almost scoffing at the idea that we are the one to possibly succeed her, despite being so bereft of light. In his mind, we're nothing compared to him. He should be the one to destroy the Golden Order and burn down the Erd Tree himself. Number 5. Speaking of burning down the Erd Tree, that is a goal that Messmer and Miquella may have in common. Miquella abandoned fundamentalism. He did not want to reconcile with the Erd Tree and the Golden Order. He abandoned it altogether due to its inability to cure the scarlet rot from Melina. Not to mention that if Miquella is actually Melina all along, then we do see that burning the Erd Tree was part of his plan after all. Messmer may want to burn down the Erd Tree to get back at his mother for exiling him, or for any other personal motivation that we don't know of yet. That would in fact make the two of them allies, wouldn't you say? Just like the church followers of the Eclipse have suggested. Number 6. Mohg may have been misled. Remember that Miquella is essentially the god of dreams, and the items in the base game related to Miquella cause sleep or sometimes cause brainwashing. In fact, it can be implied that Miquella gained such a loyal following due to his ability to influence the minds of other people. Now think for a moment that Miquella is talking to Mohg, or maybe someone who passes the information on to Mohg, or maybe Mohg was part of the Church of the Eclipse. I don't know, either way, just imagine Mohg hearing about Miquella's plans for burning down the Erd Tree alongside someone who was spurned by Marika, and that someone can wield the flame to destroy it all. Mohg can fit that description, even if it's really about Messmer. Mohg was spurned by Marika for being an omen, and he wields the power of the Formless Mother, which manifests in blood flame. Now, if you put all those pieces together, maybe Mohg eventually determined that he was the one to help Miquella usurp the throne. But it turns out it was just about Messmer all along.
Perhaps if the third eye becomes too dominant, we begin to see things in the random chance of the world that simply aren't there. It is a fine line between intuition and madness, the subconscious and its interpretation, dreams and understanding, the outside world and its patterns. It is so easy to fall into superstition and fantasy. Imagination can run wild. You might end up believing in what simply doesn't exist. And yet, the mysteries of Purple are so seductive.
Miquella is known for being incredibly intelligent, and maybe he surmised that he needed to trick Mohg, or at least make use of what Moog prepared so that Miquella could travel to the Shadowlands and release Mesmer once and for all. It could have been something of an elaborate plan, if you will. Now this is a plan we would inevitably have to stop ourselves, since we will be fighting Mesmer himself. After that battle, we will be forced into another battle with the true Empyrean, Miquella, the god of unalloyed gold. This is just my theory, and as with any theory crafting videos, I reserve the right to be wrong. Either way, I can't wait for this DLC. I really hope we do get more Godwyn the Golden content, but I wouldn't be surprised if FromSoft just didn't throw us a bone in that regard. Anyway, my name's Aeon, thanks for watching.